All right, guys, let's get started. So, good evening to all of you. I'm Ankit Gupta, and I'm the instructor for this session, and I'm over 10 years of experience, and I'm an Informatica certified professional. And this session is specifically focused on beginners who's gonna see why this tool is so prevalent in the market, what is so special about Informatica, what ETL is at first place. So probably I've got a response from Ranjit, so I would like to unmute you, Ranjit. If you have a mic facility, can you please speak up? Hi, Ranjit. I guess you have an issue with this mic, no problem. So let's get started. So this session is going to be more on hands-on. We'll continue from here. All right. Any question, anything, probably if I'm not able to speak up or you have issues with the mic, you can type it out in the questions window and I should be able to address that. Okay. So the first question that comes to us is, what will you learn today? What's the expectation out of 1 hour that you are going to invest in this session? So few of the things that comes to your mind and that should be addressed in this session is, what are the challenges in data integration? And then I'm going to introduce you to Informatica as an ETL tool. What are the different business use cases that we usually see in a real-time project? And we're going to discuss a few of them. Then we are going to see what tool do we use to perform that ETL operation. The tool is named as PowerCenter, and we are going to use that to see the live demo. And then we are going to see a few of the admin fundamentals also. As being an administrator, suppose I have got a diverse range of experience from many folks who have already joined. Then to keep that in mind, I'm going to give a bits and pieces of everything. So we have got hours of session, and within that time I should be able to cover all these points. All right. If you feel that session is going at a higher pace, or you're not able to interpret anything, or something's not going as per what you think, stop me there, raise a hand flag. If you want, I can unmute you to speak up. All right. All right, folks. So first thing is, do you guys know why at first place data integration is needed? All right. So first of all, what is data warehousing? What is a data mart? When we come to all these terms and technologies, we see that I can see probably you guys may be aware, may not be aware of this. So I'm just citing you a simple example which can help you understand why data integration is needed. What is a data warehouse? What is a data mart? Right? So consider an example, any food chains. For a matter, consider an example of a McD chain. All right. Now consider the amount of the centers of McDonald's in Bangalore itself. So it's going to be approximately 100 to 200. When you talk at an India level, it's going to be 10,000. When you talk on on the world level, it's going to be even higher. It's going to be, say, around 1 lakh. Now, when a CEO of McD wants to make a decision saying that, okay, I want to open up 100 new centers, what all locations should I pick and what exactly should I look for, where I can get more profits? Then what they do is they do analysis on the data that they are producing on a daily basis. So what happens is, on every day, whatever the purchase has happened, how many queue is there, how many people have arrived, so what is the load status on a particular center? If we open up with few more centers at that particular area, does that make sense? So counting the footfalls, counting the head counts and all those things, right? All those sort of analysis, how they can do that. So whenever you place an order, you see a system in front of them, they'll keep on punching that and enter the order. They are actually creating a database, they're making inserts into a database and forming capturing the daily transaction. How many people, what all orders, which product they have ordered, so which product is liked most, which product is liked least, and all those sort of information they're going to capture in that particular transaction. Now, when you cannot analyze anything on top of transaction system, you need aggregates like total orders, total profit, which product is sold most, right? All those sort of analysis you want to do. Now, capturing the data from 1 lakh centers and converting it into summations and aggregations to enable the higher management to make a particular decision, there comes the role of a ETL, and then there comes the role of a tool called as PowerCenter, which is provided by Informatica. All right. So what eventually we do is we capture all those transactions that they are doing in terms of flat files or ERP systems or CRM or Salesforce or mainframe, all these sort of systems we deal with. We try to capture the data in those systems, bring it to Informatica, apply our extract, transform and load. ETL is extract, transform and load. So they extract the data, they transform, they apply all the business logic. So business tells that what sort of analysis would they like to see, when so that in turn changes into rules. Then you apply those rules on the incoming data and finally create load your data into tables in such a form that uh, it is available for reporting. So once you've loaded, once you have structured data, cleans data, formatted data, right, with all the business rules, it finally gets loaded into tables, and then it is consumed by the reporting team who point their reports on those tables and finally show it in form of dashboards, bar graphs, charts, right, which end users or the business owners actually look at and make a decision. Okay, if Bangalore is having currently 100 centers, if I open 50 more because of the rise in the orders from Bangalore, if I open 50 more, it should make more sense. It will make more profit than instead of opening few centers in say New Zealand, right? So when this sort of analysis is made, this eventually results to profit. All right. So all this, to incorporate all such sort of analysis, we go for data warehousing, ETL, and finally data integration. All right. This is a brief introduction. I have directly given you a use case to better understand what is data integration, what are the challenges. So biggest challenge of data integration is we need to integrate the data from different sources. So suppose I have one system which is working in a SAP based system, another which is working in DB2. Suppose they want to interact, they need an interface in between. Now, if anything is upgraded, or suppose there are three systems, there is a third system which is Oracle, so you need two interfaces, right? And so on. So when you talk about huge enterprise, it's gonna have multiple systems. So to have different interfaces, and if you upgrade anything, all the interfaces needs to be upgraded. It's a lot of manual and hectic tasks. Instead, what happens is Informatica comes to rescue, where it provides a common interface which it can talk to literally any source possible. All right, guys, can I have a quick confirmation if you guys are able to hear me? Because I cannot see any response. I can see there are a few people who have joined, but still I cannot see any response. So maybe from Ranjit, Vikrant, Mayank, a few guys, anyone who can, just give me a confirmation you guys are able to hear me and follow me till now. All right. Okay, got a response from Ranjit saying able to hear you. Fine, great. So this is the the real motivation behind data integration and its technology. All right. So I have also given you a use case, like this can be one of the use cases, right? And we are definitely going to see a few of the demo, the practicals dealing with how we perform ETL, what are the different things in ETL. All right. So what are the common challenges of data integration? We have seen that there is a huge complexity of data. Okay, there is an increasing business demand. When you talk about Amazon, when you talk about Flipkart or any other e-commerce website, or say per se if you have Twitter or Facebook, any sort of data, the data is exploding. Plus there is a lot of garbage data. Now I can write on my Facebook wall A B C D E F G, okay, which actually does not make any sense, right? Yes, Ranjit. So Ranjit is asking, demo would be really helpful. How do we start ETL? Certainly, Ranjit, I'm going to cover that. So I think another 2 to 3 minutes of theory, and after that, I'm going to directly switch on to my practicals, considering everybody, but because there are many folks who have joined, and I just need to make sure that they understand the basics of ETL. All right. Why data warehouse or what is data mart? So once that is done, I think I should be in a good position to start with my practical session. All right. So this is the reason why we were looking for data integration. Let's move ahead. Just I'll quickly browse through a few of the things, and then I'm going to quick kickstart with the practical session or the demo session. Just want to talk about the Informatica functionality in the product suite. So you see there is a data integration, a PowerCenter, then there is a lifecycle management, there is a whole lot of portfolio. That's a portfolio, the product suite that Informatica provides, so which covers lifecycle management, also complex event processing, data masking, data quality, replication, virtualization, master data management, and ultra messaging. So though it is written currently the version at 9.6, no, the current version that has very recently been added is version 10, and also there is a separate version, Informatica Big Data Edition. You can also look for that. All right, moving ahead, folks. Any question, just stop me there so that I should be able to answer you. All right. Who all business users can actually use this? So if you see who all other users, there can be business users, data analysts, architects, developers, and data stewards. All of them can use Informatica in some or the other way. What all projects it can belong to? It can have analytics, application to application, business to business, data migration, data quality, big data, MDM, and lifecycle management. Also, what all environment it works upon. Okay, the most important thing is usually Informatica can be installed on Windows or Linux system. All right. So here, when we are talking about environment, it is actually about the usability. So it can be used right from a small department to an enterprise to cloud to Hadoop, to Hadoop file system, as well as to embedded systems. All right. So it has got a huge list of applications, and there are a whole lot of customers who have already adopted it. If you go to the Gartner's list, you'll see that from past 10 years, Informatica is the top-rated ETL tool to be used for. All right. And there are many other tools like Ab Initio, SSIS, SSIS from Microsoft, Ab Initio, and Data Stage, and a lot many, Ketley, Pentaho, Talent, many tools are there, but Informatica holds the edge. All right. What exactly it does? It performs the data integration. How it performs? It actually extracts the data from virtually any place, transform the data, and finally load the data. All right. What is the main advantage of Informatica? It can be both Windows based as well as Unix based. Also, it can read from variety of different sources and write to many targets while transforming the data in between, right? So what are the main advantages? If you see, it is robust, it can be on both Windows and Unix, and it is high performing, yet very simple to develop, maintain, and administer. So if you see, it's a GUI based tool, very easy to use, very easy to maintain, and then you can create a lot of reusable components which can be again and again multiple times it can be used. That's the advantage that Informatica provides. Plus the admin part of it is pretty easy. So if you want to create a user, you want to create a group, assign them some permissions, who should access Informatica, who should not, what all privileges they should have, it's pretty easy to use. If you want to take a backup of whatever Informatica repository you've created, it's pretty easy to do. All right, I'm going to cover a few of the aspects as part of the demo here. Okay, so guys, can I get a quick confirmation from all of you if we all are ready to go for a demo now? Okay, I got a confirmation. All right, let's move ahead, folks. So um, I have already installed. Okay, I can see a hand symbol from someone. Hi, Vikrant. Do you want to speak something?
Sorry, hi, Pulki. Hello.
Hey, actually, yeah, it is wrongly written there, so you can address me as Ankit. Please go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Angit, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you, Vikrant.
Yeah,
Please go ahead.
right. The thing is, I'm just using the mobile, so that's why I really can't, write the things. So that's the reason I was just wondering, and how could I be unmuted? So thanks for unmuting me. My question is, you talked about it could be plugged into Hadoop. What do you mean by that? It means that if I have if I have Hadoop file system, can I directly just plug into the Hadoop file system and get the data out of it?
Yes.
Is that possible? Okay.
Yes, yes, that is
So
possible. Yes, that is possible. And specifically, I mean, actually, just like I'll say you, I mean, show you practically, not
yeah.
actually connecting to Hadoop, but I'll show you how to create a ODBC connection to, to connect to a relational database or a flat file. And when I talk about Hadoop, you actually get the connector to actually connect to Hadoop file system. So instead of writing a MapReduce program, you can do it with the help of transformation that is available. There are few special transformations that has come up as a part of Informatica Big Data Edition. So if you're really into and learn and you want to learn that, I think there is a 30-day free virtual box that is available for Informatica Big Data Edition. You can download that and you can practice that. All
Oh
right.
wow, that's fantastic. So which version is that? A big, sorry,
You
Informatica Big Data. Yeah.
yes, you just search with Informatica Big Data Edition, and I think you should be able to get that.
And when we register for this course, is it a part of this course in the sense would we be learning that as well?
No, you would be learning a standard Informatica ETL tool. So it
Oh,
is that itself is wide, and most of the clients, if you see, still they are into Informatica standard tool, usability of standard tool, and actually very recently Informatica 10 has launched and trying to bundle Informatica Big Data Edition with the standard ETL tool itself, because most
oh,
of the systems and most of the data was still created with the help of standard tool only. So big data is very late into into the scenario. So they're trying to take the advantages of both of them and fix it into one single suit. That's how it is going on right now.
all right. And my last quick question will be, in case if that's possible, could you just let me know what's the cost of installing, the Informatica in any organization?
It depends on the number of licenses that you want to have. So Informatica, if you can go for on the licensing cost, though it is a bit costly, ab initio is costliest. It would be, I cannot give you exact figure, but
Yeah.
people, it's like one. It is if you go for Talend or Pentaho, it is 1/8 the cost of Informatica, but the usability and the features that you get with Informatica is par excellence. I have been using it for almost 10 years now. I have used multiple tools. I've used Pentaho, I've used Talend, Ab Initio, but the logging mechanism, the way it actually processes the data, so it's pretty good. And you do the migration deployment, all those things. When it comes, the cost is justified. So
So what do
I
you mean by
would still recommend.
sorry? What do you
Sorry,
mean
go
by
ahead.
ab initio here? What do you mean by talent ab initio here? Is that a version of the
Okay.
Informatica?
No. All these are different ETL tools. So when you talk about different ETL tools that are available in
Oh,
the market, so
okay.
Ab Initio is one, Pentaho is there, Talend is there, right, and
Okay.
Informatica is there. There are many. There
Right.
are many more. But if you, I'll suggest if you can go through Gartner's quadrant, you'll see that Informatica is top-rated ETL tool for past 10 years, and that is the
Okay.
most revered list anyone can refer to. Gartner's the best list anyone can refer to. So that's why, with considering all the features and it's a good investment to go for.
All right.
That's what I would
Sure.
like to suggest you. All right,
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thanks.
fine. All right. Okay, folks. So let's get started. Okay. I have already, so I can give you a brief. I'm actually working on a Mac machine, so my Mac would not allow me to install Informatica. Informatica is not built for Mac. So it is, Informatica is basically for Windows and Linux. If you want to install it on Mac for a practice purpose, what you have to do is you have to go for a VM, and then on top of it, you have to install a layer of maybe Oracle database or a SQL Server database, and then on top of it you can install client and server. And Informatica is a free download when you actually do it from edelivery.oracle.com. And if you enroll for a course and all, you'll get a document with screenshot on how to do it and all those steps of approximately 70 to 80 pages. So you'll have a clear instruction on how to install Informatica. All right. As of now, just consider that Informatica is already installed. First thing that I want to tell, it follows a service-based architecture. So I have already installed. So this is Informatica service, and I have already put it on. All right. Now, talking about the client and the server. When usually you work in a live environment, all right, what happens is in your machine you will have client. Server would be placed somewhere else, and that is actually a domain. I can just log in. Okay, it's gonna take some time to log in. So once I put up the service, you see that at the back end there are two main services that comes up. That is called as repository service and integration service. All right. So when you do anything on client, actually that whatever whenever as soon as you save and as soon as you try to trigger that, it goes as a request. So with the help of repository service, it's gonna communicate to the repository. Okay, underlying everything is a database. So whatever you do, it is actually getting saved in the database. Okay, but Informatica is providing you a platform to talk to different databases, to talk to different sources, convert the data in different format, right? And when you submit any request, it's going to go to the repository with the help of repository service. And when you have to actually perform the ETL, integration service comes into the picture. So when we see that practically, you should be better able to understand that. All right. Okay, it's coming up. Meanwhile, I'm going to log into. So first, let me introduce you to this application. Once you install Informatica, it would be something like Informatica 9.5.1. Then I have installed client also, and I've installed server also on my machine. All right. So if you want to see the administration homepage, you can go here. If you want to start the services or stop the service, you can do here. All right. And in client, basically, you go to PowerCenter client, and you see client has got 4 different components. Now, what Informatica has done, they have beautifully done that. They have segregated it into 4 different windows. Each have their own specific task. First is repository manager. Okay, the name itself suggests underlying repository. If you want to manage, you could do with the help of repository manager. All right, and it works on folder based mechanism. So it creates a separate workspace for each user. Okay, so usually that is task of Informatica administrator. All right, you can do that as part of repository manager. Then comes PowerCenter designer, where only and only logic resides. So you will pull source, you will transform the data and you load, but there is no data involved. It would only be the logic. Once you have set the logic in workflow manager, you're going to actually give them where your source data reside, where your target reside, and then workflow manager finally you create a workflow to actually execute it, which is in action want to perform the ETL, and then finally in monitor you view whatever you are executing. All right, this is a brief introduction of the client tools. I'm going to show that all practically now. So any questions till now, guys? I'm not looking at my questions window right now because I'm in a VM. I've got a question from Jaymin asking, is it same as Microsoft Azure data portal? Jamin, are you comparing Informatica? I'll just unmute you. Hi, Jamin. I think you've muted yourself, Jamin. Hi,
Hello.
Jamin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm
so
Informatica with Azure ML.
Microsoft
Azure data portal,
is
sorry.
there a data portal? So yeah, no problem. But yes, there are multiple ETL tools that is available in market. I think that has come up. But usually Microsoft most prevalent ETL tool is SSIS. So probably you can have a look with that as well. All right.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, makes sense. All right, moving ahead. So we're talking about repository manager. Okay, this is the repository that I have already configured. When we connect, now what all things I can do with the help of this? I can migrate the code from from one repository to another. When we talk about development, QA, pre-production, production environment, so whatever code we create, we can deploy, we can deploy or migrate our data from one repository to another repository. That is one of the tasks for repository manager. We can compare between the folders, do a lot of stuff. We can set the permissions, right? We can create the connections. All those things is possible with the help of a repository manager. One of the most important thing that I want to show you here is folder creation. Folder is a workspace. So we click on folder, we do create. All right. So suppose I'm going to create one folder in front of you. Okay. And I'm giving the name as, say, edu webinar one. No, say 2. Okay. Edu webinar 2. I'm creating a folder with the name this, and I can set the permission. Okay, so for administrator it has got read, write and execute. If I want to add another user, I can click on add. I can search, okay, what all users are there, and I can give a particular permission to particular user. As of now, I would be locking with administrator user, so it has got read, write and execute on this particular folder that is about to get created. I say okay. It says folder has been created successfully. Now if you see, earlier this folder was not there, now it is there. As of now, you see that only configurations folder is there as a part of this. If you see any other folder, say this folder I talk about, right? It has got source, target, transformation, maplet, mapping, tasks, sessions, workflows, and so on, right? But this has got only configurations folder. Why? Because as of now we have not created anything in this particular folder. Now you are already logged into repository with your credentials. So as soon as I click on other client tools also, it's automatically gonna take me to log in without prompting for ID password, because I have already created. So it is like a single sign on. You log into one window, you should be able to by default log into other windows as well. I am in a window called as Edu Webinar 2. As of now, nothing has got created. Now, I'm going to show you one simple example of how to load the data from one place to another. So what is source, what is target? So if you come to designer thing, right, you see this is called as source analyzer. The first tab is source analyzer, target designer, map transformation developer, maplet designer, and mapping designer. First concept that you should understand, PowerCenter designer should only hold the flow, okay, the data flow. There is no data involved, okay. Now, when I talk about source, I can import from database, from file, from COBOL, XML, PeopleSoft, and so many. I mean, you name a source and you can actually import from that, all right. Now, suppose I want to import a source from, I have a database called as SGBU. Let me have a login credential. I have logged in and I am importing a table, say employee. Okay. So this is the table that I want to employ. Now if you see, this is only the table structure. This is only the table structure. So what it's going to take, it's going to take the key column. Okay, which one is the key column? What are the column names? What is the data type? What is their length? What is their precision? Which of them is null or not null? And which of them is a key? You can actually change name, you can write all these comments that, okay, say table imported. You can do all those things. These are the columns. All right, just to apply. Okay, now this is only the structure of the table. Let me give you an example also. So this is the source that I'm talking about. Okay, let me query that so that you should be better able to understand. All right, select star from EMP. Okay, now this is my table. This is a relational table in Oracle database, and it has got, say, around 17 rows. Now I want to dump my data from Oracle table to a flat file. Okay, I want to dump data from Oracle table to a flat file, right? So what I'm going to do, this is my employee table. Target, how I can create my target table? Either I can I'm just writing some comments. This is a concept of versioning which can be discussed later. And this is target, all right. And suppose I want to create a target structure. Target, I can do import from database or import from file, and there is a shortcut method. So suppose I want to have the table structure same as what is my source. I just want to dump my data, right? So I can pull it as it is and drop it. Click here. See the ease of use that you get. Now you just have to make sure flat file does not understand date time column. So you have to make it a string of any size, say 30, just to apply, and okay, save it. So as soon as you do Control S, that means you're saving to the repository. Okay. I just forgot to mention that this is the navigator window, this is the workspace, and the bottom that you're seeing is the messages from the repository. So as of now, at that time you were seeing that there was nothing, there were only configuration folders still, right? But this is repository only. So what I have to do, I just have to do right click and refresh. You should be able to see source and target. Why? Because we have imported one source and one target, right? Guys, any question, you can raise your hand. If you're not comfortable with anything, just stop me there and let me know. I'm trying to go slow so that you guys should be able to understand, right? M_sample1. Suppose this is the mapping name that I'm creating. Now, just imagine what I'm trying to do. This is the source. Okay, I'm trying to drag it here. Similarly, this is the target. I'm trying to drag it here, right? And this is a transformation. By default, if you deal with Oracle or say relational table or a flat file, by default this transformation is called as source qualifier transformation. It is used to extract the data from source. Without this transformation, you won't be able to extract the data from source. All right. So this transformation comes by default. Okay. Now I do not want to perform any transformation. I just want to load my data as it is into here. So I just selected everything and pulled it into here, right? And then I saved it. Now if you see, it says mapping is valid. So it has got source, transformation, and target. Extract, transform, and load. I have not applied any transform as in data transformation here. All right, just to show one basic example of how actually ETL works. Now this is just a logical flow. You see, I'm just connecting the ports. There is no data involved. All right. Now, let me save this. Okay. Now I can create workflow. I can create workflow. There is a simple shortcut workflow with non-reusable thing. You just do OK, SDBU, next, next, finish. This is a wizard that you have used. Now, when you have to actually perform where your source resides, where your target resides, you have to mention that somewhere. So where is it? Where is it that you mention? In your workflow manager window. Again, it's a single sign-on. So you're seeing that I have directly logged in to Edu Webinar 2 folder. And if you see, the workflow has got created for you. Let us come to this window. Now, just to verify that there are few properties that needs to be seen, what exactly it is. When you come to mappings tab, you see the connections. Okay, forget about connections. Let's go to sources window. So what is my source? My source is a relational object. So what I did, I have to create a relational object. Where do I create it? Connections, relational, and then what sort of connection do I need to create? So I need to create, say, suppose Oracle. So it's going to show me all connections. Okay. I want to create a Oracle connection, suppose. Okay. I want to create new connection. If you see here, I can give any name. I just have to give username, password, and connect string, and it's going to create a connection like this for me. All right. So once that connection is created, what I did, I told that, okay, my connection is in SDBU. My source is SDBU. So you see this bottom arrow, you can click on this and you can select whatever connection you have. All right, then your source is employee. Now go to target. When you see target, what is your target? Your target is a flat file, so it is taking a location. Okay, if you see, this is target file directory, and in Informatica Administrator I have given this location as the one that I'm going to show you now. So see, Informatica 9.5.1 server infra shared target file directory. So this location I have given as my target file directory, and I'm giving the name of my flat file that should get generated should be edu underscore web underscore 2 underscore 1 dot say txt. Okay, I want to create this file. Just do OK and save it. Right, then you have the final window called workflow monitor. Just do OK. Connect to the integration service. Who actually performs the ETL? It is the integration service who actually performs the ETL. Now, as of now, you see that we do not have a folder listed here. Why? Because we have not executed any workflow till now in the newly created folder. Once you do that, automatically it's going to create folder there. Just to start workflow, right click and just to start workflow. Okay, so now our folder has come now, and you see in under the workflow our session is getting executed. When you double click on your session, it will give you session statistics, source and target. How many records have been extracted from source? How many records have been loaded into the target? Whether it is succeeded, failed, all those things. So if it is succeeded, it's going to turn into green. If it's going to fail, it's going to turn into red. If it is running, it's going to running for a long time, it's going to take yellow color. It's all those color coding. It's going to take should be picked up by Informatica itself. So if you see here, this was my source. It has extracted 17 rows. It has applied 17 rows. There is no rejected rows. At what rate it is extracting the data, so how your data is actually performing, all right, all those things would come as a part of statistics. And finally 17 rows have been loaded into the target. Now if you go to target files, you see that this edu web21.txt is created on 16/12 at 10:11 p.m. right? You double click on it and you see that all the data has been dumped from Oracle table to your flat file. Does that make sense, guys? Are you guys able to follow me? I've been talking for long. I didn't heard anything from you guys. Are you guys able to follow me? Jamin, Ranjit, Swapnil, Vikrant, many more folks. Can I get a quick confirmation from all of you? Okay, I got a response from Jamin. I think Vikrant want to talk to me. Hi Vikrant, can you unmute yourself please?
Yeah. Hi, Ankit.
Yes, hi,
Can you
hi
hear me?
Vikrant, tell me. Yes, I can hear you,
Yeah.
Vikrant.
Yeah, you talked about integration service, which I understand is quite important in this case. Now, the point is, when we talk about Informatica as high availability, I think a lot depends on the integration services. Now, if the integration services goes down and your, let's say, workflows is running in between, what happens? Does it have a switchover kind of, facility? If it's so, is it really 100% availability achievable here?
Not really 100% achievable, but yes, through through bypass method we can actually do that. How? What do you mean by bypass method? Is there is recovery mechanism for your workflows that you can actually apply in the as a part of ETL logic itself. So if I just do right click, you see recover workflow, cold start workflow, right? All these start workflow advanced, all these are in case of failure. If something happens, how can you recover your workflow? So it starts from that point. So suppose your master node has gone down, there would be a backup node who's going to be in continuous sync with that particular node. Your gateway node. That particular master node is called as a gateway node. All right. So all the requests goes through that gateway node. If that gateway node goes down, your backup node should take that place, but that switching time takes some amount of time, and during that if your workflow fails, then you should be able to recover your workflows. So you can actually configure your workflows for that particular point of time, but it does not give you 100% high availability, but the switching time is pretty less. So
Okay.
I hope you got it. The window is pretty small, but yes, it is there. A fraction of second it can go down.
So you mean that if indication service fails, my workflow fails, I just need to manually rerun the workflow, though it will pick up, but
No,
in any
that's
case,
what I'm telling. No. That's what I'm telling. You can actually configure it as part of ETL also. So usually in real-time projects, if you see, fraction of second won't be allowed, right? In critical situations like healthcare or finance domain, you actually cannot afford that. So when you talk about such a scenario, they actually do it as a part of ETL, in which they're as soon as the record gets loaded, they are flagging the record, and there is some transformation called as lookup transformation. So they try to look up at the target and see that if the record is on today's date and if it has got a flag of Y, I should not process that record. And whatever other remaining records, it should, get started with the process. So what eventually you have to do is you just have to trigger your workflow once again, and you have to forget about how it's going to load the data or from where it's going to recover. All those things can be taken care as a part of ETL logic itself.
no, that's fine, Ankit. My question was, even if we need to re-trigger that workflow, do we need to do it manually? That's my question, sorry. I know you said you can configure it in the workflow itself, but the point is, if at all we need to re-trigger it, will it be done
Yes.
automatically or okay?
It has to be done manually. Like it can be a scheduling tool like a control M job or something, but yes, it has to be triggered by someone.
Yeah, all right, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Any more questions, Vikrant?
No, that's fine. Yeah, thank you very much, Ankit. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, folks. Moving ahead. So this is one of the very basics of example that I have taken to help you understand how ETL actually work. Now there is a whole list of transformation that you can actually work upon. If you see transformation create, I'm going to show you a huge list where you see source qualifier, update strategy, expression, sequence. So you can create a sequence with the help of sequence generator. Stored procedure, you can suppose you have a legacy system, you've written a lot of stored procedures which calls for a business functionality. You can directly connect from Informatica to a stored procedure, perform the operation, and whatever is the output of a stored procedure, you can bring in back to Informatica and process it further. So all those things are possible. What you can perform aggregate calculations, you can filter your data, right? You can join, route your data, rank it, all those things. So I have a lot of I have already created a lot of mappings, so I can go either way. Okay, it is because 1018, and I would like to at least take one more example. One of the most one of the most common things in data warehousing is like the example of a SCD. All right, SCD is called as a slowly changing dimension. Probably this is going to give you a good idea of how different transformation are used in conjunction. All right, so you see that there is a source. Okay, I have pulled in a source like SCD input data. If you see here, I can just explain it to you step by step. So there is something called as SCD input data. So once I have imported my source here, how do I import my source? Source, import from database, just connect to whatever I have as my source, and I have SCD in SCD input data, right? And I can just do OK, and I can import my source. Similarly, my target. So once the source and target is imported, I can just drag, I can create a mapping, give it a name, drag my source. As soon as I drag my source, I'll have source and source qualifier, both of them, right? Then what I'm trying to do, SCD1 is called as insert else update. Okay, it does not maintain history. So suppose you have a target. If a record is existing based on the primary key in your target table, then it's gonna update the data. If it does not exist, then it's gonna insert the data. It is as simple as that. Now to apply that sort of logic, how do you actually do it as a part of Informatica, right? So you have source, your source qualifier. Now lookup, you can actually do it lookup on source or lookup on target or lookup on source qualifier. Now here in this case, lookup means you're looking up for a particular value. So what I'm trying to do is I have created a lookup transformation on SCD1 output data. This is my target table, all right? I have created a lookup based on employee number. So there has to be a primary key column on which you will be seeing whether the record is existing or not, right? So suppose your employee number is your primary key column, and on this you're sending employee number that is coming from source as part of it, and you're giving a condition employee number of lookup is equals to incoming employee number. Now what it does is, if employee number of source is equals to employee number of lookup, that means some value is gonna pass. This value is gonna pass. So this thing has gonna have some value, say 1 2 3. All right. So 1 2 3 was coming from source. 1 2 3 was there in target. So what it's gonna pass is 1 2 3. And suppose a value called 234 is coming from source, and there is no such value called 234 in target, or there is no record with employee numbers 2 3 in the target, then it's going to return null value, right? It's going to look up and it see that null is equals to 234. It does not match, and it's going to return null value, right? So based on that, I pulled all the ports, I pulled the value from the lookup also, and then I'm trying to give insert update flag, like this record, whether it should go for insert or it should go for update. So how I can write that expression? I can write if is null of lookup column. That means if this value is coming as null, what it means is it should go for insert, else it should go for update. I have written this expression. Now what I did, I pass it in my router transformation. So router is something like it's going to route it to multiple tables. Okay, so you can actually create groups. You can actually create user defined groups. So I've created a group. I can give it any name here, insert or update, and then I can give a value. Okay, if this flag is I, it should go for insert. Similarly, if this flag is U, it should go for update. Once I have done that, okay, now once I have done that, you see this is a transformation called as update strategy. What it does, by default row goes for insert, but this is a transformation which at runtime can decide whether a row should go for insert or update. Okay, so what I did, this is my update table, this is my insert. This is actually the same table. If you see here, the underlying table is SCD1 output data. This is also SCD1 output data. So on same table, you're performing insert and update. Okay, it's not two different tables, it's one and the same table. Informatica process the records one by one. So when the first row come, it decide whether it should go for insert or update. So if it goes for insert, it follows this path. If it goes for update, it should go for update, it follows the above path. And how it determines? If you go to update strategy, this is a predefined keyword dd underscore update, which will mark the record for update. Similarly, if you go here, there is a predefined function called as dd underscore insert. It's going to mark the record for insert. So that's how we configure. We give the source and target location, and when we execute for the first run, suppose there is nothing in the target, everything will get loaded, everything will go through insert flow. Now already the data exists. So suppose for 1 2 3 there is a record. Now next time, again on the next day, a record with employee number as 1 2 3 is coming. It sees that okay, the data already exists in the target. Instead of going for insert, it sees that okay, the data is already there. How it sees? Based on the lookup that we have used, and it goes and it updates all the attribute instead of inserting it. That's how SCD1 works. Okay, um, just check the time. Okay, all right, still I have got some more time. I just wanted to tell you a few more examples, maybe some basic ones. So for example, this is filter transformation. Okay, so what I have done here is I have employee as my source, I have target employee as my flat file, that is my target, and in the filter I have given a condition, say department number equal to 10. So I only want those rows which has got department number equal to 10, right? So I have pulled all my source target I have connected, I have created a filter transformation, connected all the ports, and I have just given one condition saying department number. So how I do that? How I give such an expression? As of now, this is not in a checked out state, so versioning, checkout, I have to give some comments here. Okay, I think I should be able to modify it now. So if you see this arrow would come, you click here, these are the ports that are coming from the source, department number equal to 10. You just have to write that, and what it's gonna do for every row that's gonna pass, it's gonna check that condition. So if that turns out to be true, it passes to the target. If it does not turns out to be true, it's gonna drop those records, right? That's how Informatica works. And finally, whatever you do, you create a session, and then you create a workflow. You set the permission of the sessions by giving the connection details. What is your source, where is your target, all those things. And finally trigger that, you monitor it as a part of workflow monitor and see the results, right? This is just a brief overview of how ETL gets processed, few sample examples, a demo part, one of the complex mappings like STD1, which is usually used. So I hope, guys, you might have enjoyed the session. Any questions? Okay, I can see a hand symbol from Vikrant. Vikrant, you have muted yourself. Hi, Vikrant.
Hello, Ankit. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hi. Yes, I can hear you,
Right.
Vikrant.
I've got two questions. If the time permits, if you could please, answer those questions, then that'll be
Yes,
great.
yes, yes. We
Yeah.
are open for questions now. Yeah.
All right. So the first one you talked about this lookup, was it static or dynamic? So the question number one is, if my employee number 123 already exists in that target, would it really
Mm-hmm.
update, or it would just ignore that because I really don't know what to update it with?
No, no, that's what I'm telling, right? When we talk about updates, right? Updates is not possible without primary key.
Right.
So this is your key column. Sorry, I think I've opened a different mapping. Just give me a moment, okay? Okay, when we talk about STD1, if you
Yeah.
see this is a primary key column, right?
Yeah.
Without a primary key column, you won't be able to make an update. So what it's gonna do, we are only checking the value based on the primary key column that we have in
Mm-hmm.
as a part of lookup, right?
Yeah.
So it sees that whether this value exists in the target. If it exists, it marks the record for update, then we route the record for update, and finally it does use an expression called as GD update and update the target. So when I tell, okay, update the target, that means based on the employee number, it's gonna update all the other attributes of that particular table. So it's gonna update if there is any change that is coming. So suppose employee number 123 has got some value of employee name, say suppose it is AG, okay, and now from source for 123 the value is coming as Ankit Gupta. So it's gonna replace AG with Ankit Gupta.
Oh, okay. So you mean if all right, okay, I got it. So the thing is 123, it comes again, then you find, oh, if there's any changes in that. Oh, I got it. Yeah. And is this an example of static lookup or dynamic lookup?
Okay, as of now, the one that I've configured here, that is the static lookup, but we can also perform with the help of dynamic lookup. See, dynamic lookup and static lookup is only the difference of whether at runtime, suppose I have multiple
Mm-hmm.
records with 1 to 3 as value, so it's gonna insert for the first time. Second
Yeah.
time, your cache, so these are few of the complex things when we go for a real-time training, all those things comes into picture. So what happens is if you run in the same run there is second row. So what it does, lookup forms the cache at the start of the mapping itself. So it looks up at the table and see there is nothing. So in the cache also there would not be anything. First time and you have put a primary key constraint, right? You have,
Right.
I think I have. So you've put a primary key constraint at your target. So first row when it comes, it gets loaded into the target. Second row when
Yes.
it comes, it looks up at the target. Because the cache is not getting updated at the runtime, it would see that okay, the cache is empty, let the row pass. So when the row goes for insert, your workflow fails. Why? Because the record already exists in target and there is a constraint of primary key, so you'll get an error message saying that primary key constraint violated. In such scenario, so you have to analyze your source whether repeated records can come in the same flow or on the same day. So if it can come, then you have to go for a dynamic lookup. As of now, I've configured it as a static lookup.
Oh, so dynamic lookup so you are saying in case in my target, if I allow to have duplicate rows, you can just go in for dynamic. Is that so?
Correct. I mean, if with the same key, there are
Yeah.
multiple rows, there is a possibility of multiple rows. I can give you one example. So suppose on a pharmacy store, you visit on day one and
Yeah.
you ask for some medicine. Then again in afternoon, you say that, okay, I want a refill of that. Again in the evening, you say, I want a refill of that. So usually if you talk about OLTP systems, it's gonna
Hmm.
take transactions on, it is select intensive. It's not going to update the record. Okay, at first time you came, then okay, you want to refill, so they're going to pull up the record and then again, okay, there was a refill. So they're not going to process. So they'll always be like insert. As soon as you come, they'll make a new entry for your current transaction. So on the same day, for a same person, 3 transactions have happened. So if
Oh,
such scenario happens, you go for a dynamic lookup.
right. So can I just last thing on that? I won't take much time on
Yeah.
this. So for example, if I want to make my static lookup as dynamic without using the cache, can I just do one thing? Can I have this, a primary constraint off on the target and it becomes my kind of dynamic? Is that right?
Primary constraint off, then I mean, no. See, configuring lookup as dynamic is a different thing, and
Hmm.
putting the constant off, that is altogether a different thing. That means you're corrupting your warehouse actually. Without a primary key, your update would never happen. It would always go for insert.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
understand
So
that?
yeah, exactly. I understood that. But the point is, in case I'm just taking the constraint off, I'm just sort of using, I know we're not using the cache, but obviously, I mean, if the pharmaceutical example, I think that would be possible in that case also. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that would be possible. Every time it's gonna make the insert.
Yes. So there'll be no update, but it will keep inserting even without using the cache. Yeah. So a static
Yes, that's
lookup.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it's just that every time, even with the static lookup, because there are multiple rows, it's not gonna fail. Why? Because it's not gonna give you the primary constraint error, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got, yeah. So it's gonna process all the records.
Right. So for dynamic, there are two advantages. Number one, obviously, if you want to keep inserting the things, there is no update, you can do that. But instead of going to the back to the database, you can just refer to the cache and just do the stuff, right? So it is speedier. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
your
Sure.
understanding is correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more
Thanks.
questions for me?
No, that's fine. Thank you very, very much. Yeah. For your help.
Okay, no problem, Vikant. You're welcome. How about other folks? How about Swapnil, Ranjit, Jayman? Any more questions from you folks? Okay, I've got a question from Ranjit. Uh, in repository, workspace is created, but in designer, we are going to import metadata for source and target. Am I right? Yes, Ranjit. I'm gonna unmute Ranjit. Uh, do you have an issue with your mic, Ranjit? Okay, I can respond to your queries, no problem. If you're able to listen to me and you're still on my ear, so if you're able to speak up, just let me know. Um, okay, I've got a question from Ranjit asking, in repository, workspace is created, but in designer, we are going to import the metadata for source and target. Yes, that's correct. In designer, you're going to import the metadata for source and target, and you're actually going to create a logic, end-to-end logic of extract, transform, and load, right? And then finally, you perform all the actions when you create the session and workflow. All right. Now the next question that he pushes up, put up is, in SCD1, source have few columns in number, but in router we have more number of columns. In SCD1, source has few columns. Okay, so it is because it has created two different things. So if you are looking at my screen, so source and target is still the same number of columns. It's just that if you look at the router closely, all the above one are insert. So it is the same equal number of ports. It is the same equal number of ports. Okay, so when it goes to insert, I have created two groups. Okay, I have created two groups, insert and update. So when you create two groups, so these are the groups. So this is insert group, this is update group. All the column, it's going to rename, it's going to give same number of columns. Similarly for update also, it's going to give same number of columns. For insert flow, you have taken a different path. For update flow, you've taken a different path. But it's the same number of columns. All right, there is no change in the number of columns. Then the last question from Ranjit is, if you want to insert by user-defined SQL query, where do we do this? Okay, it's a very nice question, Ranjit. So if you want to make an insert based on a user-defined query, the place where you can do is in source qualifier. So in source qualifier, if you're, if your source is a relational table, you can actually write a query. I can just show you an example. Okay, so yeah, so this is your source. You go to properties tab. In this SQL query, right, you select on this bottom arrow and you can write your query here. There will be default query that can be generated. Like if you click on this generate SQL, so select this from this. Now you can give all your where clause, you can give your order by clause, right? You can do whatever stuff that you can write in a relational database, you can do here. You can give your join conditions, right? You can write your distinct operators, you can write your left outer join, router join, all those things are pretty much possible in this place. All right. Okay. So any more questions, Ranjit, Swapnil, Vikrant, any questions? Okay, I've got another question from Ranjit. Is there any node concept in Informatica to set up? Yes, there is a node concept in Informatica. So if you see the admin task here, you see that this is a domain and then this is a node. So node is basically a machine. Your machine is acting as a node. There would be a gateway node and there would be worker nodes. So only and only one machine act as a gateway node. Okay. I have got a hand symbol from Vikrant. Vikrant, you've muted yourself. Hi, Vikrant.
Yes. Yeah. Ankit, just last question. I'm so sorry I'm taking your time.
No, no,
You
no.
talked about,
I'm here
yeah,
to help you. Yeah.
right. So you talked about this dynamic stuff, right? Remember? Now the point is, I have been using, let's say, dynamic cache lookup, and tomorrow if I want to update the things also, would I be in a position to use the static lookup? Will that be okay in case today I use dynamic and tomorrow for some reasons I use, uh, static?
I couldn't really make out the question that you want to ask. Say, suppose you want to use dynamic. I understand that part. Okay, so you want to use
Yeah,
dynamic because your use case says that on a single day you can have multiple entries based on your primary key. Correct?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the example we took of pharmaceutical, where you just keep inserting, inserting, and inserting, and we are using
Exactly.
dynamic lookup for that. But tomorrow, if I say no, 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 I just need to update the things also, and so can we use on the same data set? Can we just remove the dynamic part and use the same static stuff?
No, no. Why do you want to remove the dynamic part? Even with dynamic lookup, you can make things happen for update.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That is pretty much possible. You do not need to bring in static lookup to just to perform the update. You can do it with the help of SCD, with the help of dynamic lookup as well.
All right. Okay. Sure.
Okay,
All
so
right.
there is a concept of versioning with the help of which it should versioning an MD5 key. So based on all those things, you can mark the record for update. That's
Okay.
possible.
Okay. 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 So dynamic is generally just for speedy stuff, right? I mean, nothing more than that. Yeah.
Not really for speeding up the stuff. Again, I mean, like what the dynamic thing is only and only that at runtime your cache will get updated. That's it. So your workflow will not fail. Insert, update, everything is gonna remain at the same place. Should I explain it in more detail? It's something like at at morning 8 a.m. there is a record that came. There is a
Yeah.
target table and you have
Yeah.
configured your lookup as a dynamic lookup.
Okay. Yeah.
At the start, so suppose even before the extract of first row, it looks
Yeah.
up at the target and sees that okay there is nothing, so your cache is empty.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
when first row gets extracted, it looks up at the target table.
Mm-hmm.
Now it has already looked up, the cache is already there. It sees that okay the cache is empty. That means this record should go for insert. Now it
Okay.
processed, it went to insert.
Yeah.
Again, if it is a static lookup, your cache will remain empty only. If it is a dynamic lookup, it sees that okay one record is inserted. Now
Okay.
when suppose second record come again with the same key.
Yeah.
In case of static lookup, it sees that okay my cache is empty, that means okay let it go for a insert. It
Mm-hmm.
will go for insert and sees that okay the record is already there in the target and your workflow will fail because of primary key constraint. I'm just
Okay.
comparing static and dynamic
Yeah.
simultaneously, all right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas in case of dynamic lookup, it as soon as the data gets inserted in the target, your cache also gets updated. So it
Okay.
will see that based on ID 123, the record
Mm-hmm.
already exists. So in my cache, there is a record with value 123. So
Yeah.
this record should not go for insert. This record should go for update. So it's gonna route the record for update.
Okay.
Am I making the point?
Yes, you are. But how would it make, the second insertion without letting it fail, as we discussed for the pharmaceutical stuff?
Sorry, what?
Sorry, so how would it make, the second insert as insert because
No,
it
no,
won't let.
second insert will not be an insert. It would be an update.
Okay.
You got it right. Second insert would be an update. If you want to just keep on inserting the data, then
Mm-hmm.
what you have to do is, so suppose you have a source system and you want to dump the data, you do not want to do
Yeah.
anything, you just want to
Yeah.
keep on inserting the data. So you have source, you
Yeah.
do not even do lookup. You have target, connect it
Yeah.
one to one and disable your primary key. So whatever record comes in goes to the target. Whatever record comes in goes to the target. No need to look up at the target also. Why do you want to look up, right? You want to look up at the target only when you want to perform insert else update. So if you do not want to perform an update, you just want to insert the data, go for a one-to-one mapping.
Right. Right. So it's just a matter of runtime versus, non-runtime, yeah? For the dynamic
Exactly.
and okay, okay, okay.
Correct. At runtime, whether a cache gets updated or does not get updated. Only that is the difference for a static cache versus a dynamic cache.
So dynamic is mainly for the OLTP kind of stuff, right? Where I just need, speedy stuff and just look at the cache and just do the things rather just making a reference to the lookup, etc. and just do the things, yeah, on that basis.
Correct. Correct.
Oh,
Exactly. Yes.
okay, sure, yeah. Thanks. I think that makes sense now. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you very, very much. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, Vikrant. So just one thing, like before you go, I just want to give you a heads up. So suppose if you look forward to join a session, I think there is a new class that is coming up next week,
Okay.
probably, and I just want to give you a heads up. It's going to be a 42 hours class with 25 hours of assignment and 20 hours of project. Plus you
Okay.
have a lot of support and all those things and configuration if I mean
Oh,
if you feel so. All right.
right. Thank you. And you will be the tutor,
So
right?
I'm not for the next batch, maybe someone like me, but like my current batch is going on, maybe once that completes, I can move for
Oh,
another batch. That's how it's. All right.
okay. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Next talking to you. So I've got a question from Ranjit. He's raising a hand symbol. Hi Ranjit, are you still there? Okay, I've got a lot of question from Ranjit, but he's typing it out to set up to run job in parallel. I couldn't get the question to run job in parallel. Please explain version. It is not yet covered. Please explain versioning. Not able to speak. Okay, all right, no problem. Not able. So Ranjit is asking, can you please explain me the concept of versioning? It's pretty easy. I can explain it to you right away. So if you see the concept of versioning, see Let me check in. Now, if you see, I'll not be able to modify anything in this particular, excuse me. So in suppose in the properties tab, if I want to write a particular query, I won't be able to write anything. Or suppose I want to, do anything. I want to remove this column. All the options would be disabled. All right. Whereas if you want to modify anything, what you have to do, all you have to do is go to versioning, checkout. Okay, this description is to give why you are checking out or who is checking out. So suppose I'm the developer here, and I have created this mapping, so I would be doing it in the edit mode. So I'm writing the comment, okay, first time development, suppose first time development. Now this is like, once I do that, it is same as SVN. So if you guys have ever worked on SVN repository, um, it is like a common document. So suppose I usually give an example of a leave tracker. So suppose you are working in an organization and you have a leave tracker. So you have a team of 10 guys who has to update, your manager has asked to update the leave tracker. Now it is placed in a common path where everybody can access. So what usually happens is when you check out that particular thing, okay, that means it is in edit mode and it places a lock on that particular document. So everybody else would have a read-only access but won't have a write access. So as of now, I have checked out this mapping. Everybody can view it, but nobody can modify it because I am modifying it right now, right? And it places a lock. So if you see here, all my options are enabled. I can add port, remove port, copy, paste, because it is in checked out state. So once I have made all the changes and I'm done with all my changes, what I have to do is just do versioning, check in, so that my repository, and it should be available for editing or modification by someone else also if required, right? So I give my comments, okay, done first changes. So suppose I have done that, I have written it, do okay. Okay, now you see this would be in a non-edit mode. I can read it. I can read it, but I cannot modify it, right? This simple thing is a concept of versioning. So versioning applies on each and every object, be it source, targets, maplet, mapping, session, workflow, task, whatever it is, it applies on each and every object. That is called as versioning. So there are few more things that you can do with the help of versioning. Say for example MSCD1. So in versioning, if you go, you can actually view history. So there are different versions that is there. So when it is version, what date, all those things, who has done that, you can actually backtrack it and you can compare the difference between two versions as well. So suppose I select two version, okay, I select two version, then I can compare it. I compare previous version, so you can compare between two versions. What is the difference? Okay, mapping instance, so I made any changes, it would be highlighted actually. So I think I have just checked in, checked out, so it is not showing any difference, but this is how you can do comparison between the versions. All right, does that make sense? Okay, I got a question from Ranjit Singh. You're saying about node setup few minutes back, but you stopped. About node setup. Okay, I was showing where the node is actually. Uh, okay, I'm trying to log into Informatica Administrator. I was just showing that actually there would be a domain which will have a lot of nodes. So suppose there are 10 systems in the network connected. Those 10 systems would be a part of a container called as domain. Okay, on top of which there would be repository services, there would be integration services, and one of the node would be a master node, and all of the remaining would be a worker node, master or gateway node, and then worker node. So whatever request you place, that goes to via gateway node to the server with the help of repository and integration services. So that is a concept of node. There is also the concept of grid processing and high availability and all those concepts, backup node. So all those concepts is also there as a part of Informatica. All right, make sense, Ranjit? Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say? How about Swapnil? I've not heard anything, or even he has not written anything from Swapnil. Swapnil? Okay, I've got a confirmation from Ranjit. I can see Vikrant does not have any question. How about Swapnil? I don't know from what thing he is accessing it. Maybe he's not able to respond, but that's okay. So guys, any more question? One final question, anyone, if whoever wants to ask before the closure of today's session. Are we good to go now? So I think we're done with all the questions. Thanks guys for attending the session. I would request you to take some time out to fill the survey at the end. Okay. There would be a 2-minute survey. Take some time out, and really looking forward to get you onboarded on the Edureka. You'll really enjoy the journey, and there is a next batch that is getting started on 19th of December. Looking forward to to have you there. All right, folks. Thanks for joining.